What up? It's Ray V. Let's get it.
Sad boy.
Sad boy quote of the day.
F ain't for feels, it's for fantasies. So let's get into our deepest fantasies, baby.
I'll give you a third for him, though.
I got breaking news. Sources are saying that Malik Neighbors had surgery a few weeks ago. But let's break down that timeline and decipher that news. Neighbors tore his ACL in his right knee September 28th. A month later, he had surgery on October 28th. Sources are saying that he also had a full meniscus repair along with his ACL. Then in January, he was seen in crutches, albeit hands-free ones. There were reports coming out that he dealt with knee stiffness throughout his recovery. Now he had this cleanup procedure multiple weeks ago to remove scar tissue, a normal and pretty common surgery for ACLs. But here's the kicker. The Giants are now saying his return goal is to be ready by week 1 rather than the start of training camp like previously stated. So when I first seen this, I thought this was fake news, a big nothing burger. But after seeing that the goalpost of his return window has been moved, ooh, that could be something. A good rule of thumb to follow with these lying coaches and organizations is that when they say X player is ahead of schedule, it usually means they're just on time. When X player is on time with their recovery, that means they're behind. And when X player is behind on schedule, damn bro, it's pretty much over. It's over. Just give up. So pushing his goal return window back to the start of the season might signal a pup stint. He just might straight up miss the first 4 weeks. I always thought this year was going to be a down year for Neighbors anyway, as a fellow ACLer. Myself, players usually have to spend that first year feeling their new ACL out and regain that confidence and trust in their body once again after quite literally having their knee fail to support them physically and emotionally on that field. I felt that. Neighbors, in my eyes, is still the same asset I was projecting him to be without missing this might be pup stint. However, if this does create panic and a buy low opportunity in your league, hey, do it to him. No, this does not mean send a third and hey, maybe I'll add a fourth on top if I'm feeling a little generous. Do not do that. This means send that first for him. Add a productive player, add a player of value, make a package, Players like Neighbors don't usually get entertained in trade talks, but this could create an opening. But just know, he finna suck this year, let's be for real. My game plan personally would be to wait till that pup announcement hits before striking. That's the first one. That's when you send out the feelers, send out a good enough trade to be accepted, but probably argued back and forth a little bit with fourths and thirds. The manager of Neighbor probably still says no, and then that's when you wait. That's when you play the patient game. You wait till Neighbors finally comes back, finally hits that field and stinks it up consistently for those first few games. Bam, the frustration is settling in and the patience should be worn thin by then. Good luck, my proteges. Get that, Neighbors. Comment section. MVMT claims this series is fire. Fire emoji. Hey man, thanks. It's super fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I'm not sure if you'll be thinking this series is still fun if I ever get to one of your teams, buddy. You just sound like you're bad at fantasy. Today we are going to do a buy lows video. Don't have a Q alliteration for it yet, but maybe I'll think of something one day. Still trying to workshop some daily vids for each day while the offseason is slow with the news, but let's talk values. The first guy we're going to talk about is Javonte Williams. This might seem like an odd one to some, but a lot of the Dynasty community do have the same thought process and rule of thumb to sell off running backs after they sign their big extension. The running back shelf life, is never long anyway, 3 to 4 years on average. Of course, if you're lucky, usually the length of their rookie contract, but a lot of running backs fizzle out faster than that. Of course, you can get some outliers when they're just straight up really that good, but we in the Dynasty community run the statistics. We take the feels and emotions out of the game and we just play the odds, man. So his extension might signal, damn, now I gotta sell and get out of him while I can. This is peak value probably, blah, blah, blah. But you stay fluid. When people zig, you zag. If everyone is thinking the same thing, like sell the older running backs, I would zag and I would buy the older running back. Like I was saying yesterday, having good flexes are what wins championships. Draft picks are cool and all, but a ring and a year's worth of bragging, flexing on your league, so much better. So much better. But buying Javonte Williams is buying the gap between perception and opportunity. People hear his name and they probably think, isn't that the ACL guy? The inefficient Denver back? Or that dead zone running back asset? He's literally only 26 years old and is labeled a veteran running back already. History shows that after 2 years post ACL recovery is often when the explosiveness finally stabilizes. His extension in Dallas is great because the Cowboys historically produce fantasy relevant running back volume. His goal line opportunities matter more than pure efficiency, and he's one of the better pass blocking backs in the running back room, which will keep him on the field for sure. Javonte Williams and his tackle breaking, contact balance, and receiving ability could bring him back to elite status. Every offseason has the same vicious cycle. Ooh, shiny new rookies. Ooh, give me the picks, I want them all. And then Twitter and your favorite fantasy football analyst declares the veteran dead, and then the veteran keeps the job. Every single time, every time. This just happened with him last year with Jaden Blue right behind him. I could totally see Javonte being a 220 touchback with receiving getting work in a high-powered offense, you are most likely not going to pay a running back 1 price. You're paying for flex, depressed injury, and disappointment pricing. But the ceiling outcome is weekly running back 2 production with running back 1 upside, or a value rebound where you could flip him later for more than you paid. A second or less is a screaming buy. Next buy low is going to be Matthew Golden. Golden had a terrible rookie year last year. He is already getting that bust label put on him. This is why Green Bay hasn't drafted a first-round wide receiver in 20 years. Type quotes. But the Packers did lose Wicks and Romeo Doubs this offseason, so in theory, he should be a benefactor of their target void. When they zig, we zag, baby. He's labeled a bust, we give him a home. We say, come over to my team, I'll take care of you, TLC, baby. Buy Golden for the low and insert that hopium that he hit rock bottom and the only way to go is up. Hopefully the current manager is scared and impatient with him, thinks about sunk cost fallacy and is down to move him for the low. His profile didn't disappear. The Packers still spend premium draft capital on him, and it wasn't an accident, hopefully. Golden came into the league with legit separation ability, vertical speed, route running polish, and inside-outside versatility. Just because he had a slow rookie year doesn't mean all of that just suddenly vanished. What really happened was that the wide receiver room was crowded, a low volume passing offense, injuries, and an inconsistent role. That is something that is survivable in Dynasty for wide receivers. The Packers are actually openly talking about a year 2 leap for Golden too. This matters because opportunity growth is often the trigger before fantasy production arrives. A rookie wide receiver with first-round capital entering year 2 with vacated targets is exactly the archetype we should be gambling on. The Dynasty market is already pricing him like a bust. That's actually insane to act like one mediocre rookie year in a spread the ball offense means that he can never become relevant. Green Bay wide receiver development historically takes time as well. This is not a plug-and-play rookie wide receiver type of organization. The Packers notoriously slow cook offensive players by rotating receivers, spreading the target, and demand route precision before unleashing guys fully. If we're being for real, this is really a bet on Jordan Love. Golden isn't attached to a dead offense. He's attached to a young franchise QB, a stable coaching staff, and a playoff caliber offense. This gives him multiple years to grow into relevance. If he becomes a weekly wide receiver 2-3, spike week deep threat, or a future target leader in Green Bay, you'll be happy with your buy low purchase. The advanced Dynasty logic here is simple. Elite Dynasty buys usually look uncomfortable. The community sentiment right now is he disappointed, too crowded, and maybe he's just a role player. This is perfect because if he hits, his value doubles quickly and suddenly he's the trendy year 3 breakout that everyone always believed in a year's time. You are buying uncertainty before clarity. Once camp hype starts, or beat writers talk up his role, or he just looks nice in the preseason, the discount disappears immediately. A second or less is definitely worth the buy low. I'm seeing 2s and 3s for him on OTC. I'm seeing some 2s and a productive vet or a upside value type of guy. Send it. Send it. Our next buy low is going to be Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell lands on the Buccaneers after such a good season in Pittsburgh while not even being the number 1 guy. Now he lands in a backfield that is perceived to be led by Bucky Irving, who is often himself accompanied by injury. Not only that, but it was a disgusting 3-headed backfield last season as well, and Sean Tucker has actually returned. Gainwell plays very similar to Irving, and the coaches have been speaking highly of him as of late too. I don't think he straight up overtakes Irving, but let's just say Irving gets hurt like he so often is. Gainwell should be able to eat weekly and could fill the Irving role probably better than Irving himself if Irving went down with injury, if we're being for real. Also, Bucky has not even been good or efficient since his rookie year, so it's actually possible for Gainwell to overtake him. You're not buying him because he's a future superstar, you're buying him because he's undervalued. He's an NFL back who catches passes, protects the quarterback, and immediately earns trust from the coaching staff. Gainwell has quietly done this for several years now. Like I said, he is 1 injury away from exploding in value. He has already shown that he can function in a 2-minute offense, and coaches trust him in high leverage situations. That is a huge difference between him and some random running back forward type dart throw. If Irving goes down, coaches don't invent trust. They will lean on a veteran like Gainwell. The Dynasty community keeps treating him like a jag, just a guy. Yeah, he's just a guy who catches passes, has survived multiple coaching staffs, and keeps earning roles on active rosters. He's the type of player contenders desperately want in November after injuries pile up. He has never needed 25 carries to matter because his receiving profile is what keeps him afloat. He gets dump-offs, third downs, hurry-up work, and red zone catches. NFL teams value reliability more than fantasy managers do. Fantasy players chase ceiling, while NFL coaches chase ball security, blitz pickup, and assignment discipline. Gainwell has continued to get work because he checks all of these boxes. He will always stay one coaching decision away from having a larger role at times. He's the perfect roster construction buy. The best Dynasty benches are filled with players players who can gain value overnight. Gainwell is exactly that. Nearly free, usable during bye weeks, flex-worthy weekly, and capable of becoming even better if the depth chart shifts. Those are profitable assets because the downside is almost non-existent and the hidden value is liquidity. Dynasty managers always need running back depth during the season. Wide receivers are easier to replace while playable running backs are not. So even if you believe in Gainwell long-term, he's the type of player you can acquire cheaply now, wait for an injury spike, then flip for a profit in season. That's a good dynasty process and how you play the dynasty market. Strongest reason to buy low is that people hate ambiguous backfields until injury clarify them. Gainwell lives in ambiguity. That is where cheap running back value is created. Anything less than a second is what I'm paying for as a buy low. Send 2 threes or send a productive player. Surprisingly, I'm seeing a lot of Jerry Jeudy for Gainwell straight up, so do with that what you will. Next guy we got is Garrett Wilson. Wilson had a down season last year due to injury, and of course, the Jets stink. Now they add Geno Smith, and that just stinks too. But not only that, the Jets added 2 first-round talents to their passing game in Kenyon Sadiq and Omar Cooper Jr. Also, Breece Hall just signed an extension as well. All this extra stuff going on, the crappy injury-ridden season last year that Garrett Wilson had, and just being on the Jets definitely pushes his value down. Currently, he should be much cheaper than what he really should be going for. Geno Smith should do better on the Jets this year than the Raiders last year too, because they have a better O-line. Because with the Raiders, Smith didn't have time. When Smith doesn't have time to process back there, he panics immensely. The extra weapons in the passing game should free up Wilson from being the entire focus of the defensive game plan, and having Breece Hall for an extended amount of years means Wilson should, in theory, be freed up in that sense as well. The market is frustrated with the results of Garrett Wilson, while the underlying indicators still scream elite asset. He still has had 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons before turning 25. He has survived arguably the worst QB carousel of any elite wide receiver prospect. He still manages to command alpha usage every single year, especially after his injury-ridden season last year. Managers are finally getting tired of waiting. The biggest reason to buy him is his target dominance. Wilson has already posted target shares of around 27 to 30%, and he's cleared 147 targets every season besides last year. Elite fantasy wide receivers are almost always elite target earners first. Production spikes later when the environment improves. And despite the disappointment narrative, the production hasn't actually been that bad. 83 for 1,103 yards as a rookie, 95 for 1,042 yards with horrible QB play in year 2, and 101 for 1,104 yards and 7 touchdowns his last healthy season in year 3. That's simply his floor. After the Javonte Adams and Aaron Rodgers fiasco along with his injuries last season, managers may just view Wilson more like a very good wide receiver 2 instead of a future cornerstone wide receiver 1. That's the type of edge we are looking for in our buy lows. The argument for Garrett Wilson is simple. He has already proven he can earn elite volume under terrible circumstances. The second the efficiency normalizes, he becomes a top 5 fantasy wide receiver candidate. The underrated dynasty angle is that his value has already likely absorbed the risk. During his year 2 and year 3, managers treated him like an untouchable dynasty wide receiver 3 overall. He is definitely not priced or valued like that anymore. Now you can sometimes get him for an order productive wide receiver plus 1 first, or a tear down package. The community sentiment is exactly what you want in a buy low window. Even skeptical threads are full of people acknowledging the talent while arguing over his situation and ceiling. When the debate shifts from is he elite to maybe he's overrated, that's usually when elite players become attainable. Honestly, the scariest outcome for non-Wilson managers is pretty obvious. What happens when he finally gets stable QB play, offensive competence, positive TD variance, and continues seeing 150 plus targets? All of a sudden, we have a 25-year-old wide receiver 4 overall minimum behind Chase, Puka, and JSN, and that dynasty buy window in general is closed permanently. Dynasty is typically won by betting on talent before the situation catches up. I'm giving up any first for him as a buy low for sure. Honestly, would be comfortable going as high as the 104 as a buy low. Any random 2027 first too. Honestly, I'd rather have Wilson over any of the wide receivers this draft class straight up. I guess that in and of itself is a buy low, since his buying window shouldn't be open to begin with. Easily a mid first this year and a second too, if that simplifies the buy low value for you. Last guy we're going to talk about is Jaylin Noel. Had to throw a super random deep curveball at y'all. Noel was definitely labeled as a loser this offseason. Not really sure why though. Tank Dell maybe? Guy coming off 2 season-ending injuries and missed all of last season. Christian Kirk is gone, so that slot role is up for grabs and Noel thrives there. All he really has is Tank Dell in his way. Even the wide receiver room thinned out. It's not the craziest thing seeing him beat out Tank Dell for that slot spot as well. And I haven't seen CJ Stroud on any pods this offseason, so that's definitely a plus for the Texans in general. You buy Jaylin Noel in Dynasty for the exact reason sharp Dynasty managers buy day 2 rookie receivers every year. The market is pricing uncertainty. You're betting betting on talent, insulation, and upside. Noel is one of those prospects who quietly checks a ton of boxes that eventually matter for fantasy. He's an explosive athlete, has a strong production profile, legit route running ability, versatility inside and out, and enough draft capital that the Texans, and any other team if he leaves, will actually give him opportunities. The thing Dynasty managers miss with players like Noel is that you are not buying the current production, you are buying future value acceleration. The NFL is moving towards separation creators and yak players who can win quickly. Noel fits that archetype perfectly. He is not some raw traits only wide receiver. He's polished enough to earn snaps while still having ceiling if his role expands and if he takes the slot role. And the biggest Dynasty edge with year 2 wide receivers is understanding how quickly perception changes. Right now, people see a smallish receiver, even though Tank Dell is much smaller, a crowded depth chart, uncertain target share, and a bust risk. This is how Dynasty works. Production is nice, but market insulation is king. Noel has that kind of profile where one training camp hype cycle, one preseason clip, or one stretch of efficient usage can add an entire round of startup value. His value spikes instantly and no longer will be a buy low. The other reason to buy is cost. You are not even paying wide receiver 3 prices for him, or of just like a flex range. With all the rookie fever going on right now, managers are more likely to be looking to move him to make room for more rookies on their team instead of having him be on the roster as a roster clogger. He might even just be on your waiver wire currently. As a rookie, he was drafted by managers as an interesting upside dart, and with a disappointing rookie year, he should be valued for much less. He's still a player who can realistically become a high volume slot weapon, a flex starter with spike weeks, or a much more valuable trade asset by midseason. Those are the best Dynasty bets. And stylistically, he's the kind of receiver offensive coordinators love manufacturing touches for with motion, screens, crossers, and slot fades. His gadget usage should turn into real usage. That matters because early manufactured touches are often the bridge to future target earning. If he hits, he becomes one of those Dynasty assets everyone suddenly pretends was so obvious. These are the type of players you want to be early on, so you don't have to pay that inevitable tax later after a few good production weeks. A true buy low for Noel would be a 4th or some fab. Obviously a throw-in piece for a bigger deal makes sense too. Feel like even a 3rd is okay for him, but not really a buy low. Or like a trade down piece is a buy low enough for me. Something like trading away your 306 for the 310 and Noel. The lower the better obviously, so maybe not a 3rd straight up. We can always find buy lows elsewhere. Hope you guys enjoyed my 5 buy lows and the analysis that went with them. Tried to choose some sneakier type guys than what I've been doing, but let me know down below if you guys agree, if these guys are worth a buy or if they're just gonna dud or decline this season. Quick update on Saul Brez's team. If you're invested, he was able to trade his 2nd and 4th in 2029 for Bryce Young. His QB room is ready for war now this season, and he could even move Kirk Cousins now or wait for a premium time, like when a league mate loses a QB to injury or then bye weeks hit and they don't have a starter that week. That is the way of the life of a league with QB holders in a superflex and especially a 2 QB leagues. I think his team is ready to compete this season, but he still has 2 firsts in his back pocket if things get dicey during the season or if someone fire sales their whole team. Might have to stop coaching him because he might knock me off my pedestal. Shoot. But just like him, don't forget your daily dose of send that trade. Send it. Send it. That's it for today, though. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, rebuilds fade, dynasties reign.
Call me a lover boy, simp, Libra. It's more than love sick. I got a fever. Feelings overloading. Not to be a diva. Standing 10 toes down. I'm not gonna leave you.